interpretation of it was not that they were just going to be legendary creature enchantment and die to disenchant. It just doesn't seem right. I don't think, I don't know, we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll just all be indestructible, I guess.
Ooh,
We'll have to
I'll
see.
do a quick hitter on the Poseidon thing really quick.
Okay, yeah, I saw
About
some
the
of these.
earthquake thing, that's how tidal waves are made, underwater earthquakes. Okay.
So then he could just be the god of earthquakes who lives in a pineapple under the sea.
Apparently Zeus is the god of the sky,
Yes.
and Delver of Secrets is the god of magic. That's what Chris is going to play on turn 1.
He's going to hope that Delver of Secrets becomes god of the sky next turn. At least that's his plan. So, Tropical Island into Delver of Secrets. Classic opening from Rug Delver. Joe Demestrio with Island into Ponder, which is a pretty classic opening from Sneak and Show deck, as we saw last round.
One of the things that I brought this up a lot of times when I cover this deck when I do Legacy Opens, is whenever I watch Sneak and Show playing against Rug Delver, I always ask myself the question of, is Rug Delver supposed to save all their counter magic for the big turn where Sneak and Show goes for it, or are you supposed to counter their card manipulation, and are you supposed to counter the Ponders and the Brainstorms so that they can't set up perfectly? And no one has given me a great answer on this, and I mean, that makes sense because I think it's a very difficult question to answer. Like, if you counter all the Ponders and the Brainstorms and the Probes and stuff, then they just go, all right, cast Show and Tell, you're dead. But if you let them resolve all of those cards and they are able to sculpt,
tons of
and then they're like, all right,
yeah.
cast Show and Tell, let's go to battle, man. And then they beat you in the counter war. So it seems like it's a bad position for Rug Delver either way.
Yeah, essentially Rug Delver just needs to win quickly, and Chris has got a good start to that. He flips his Delver off of a Force of Will on turn 2, is able to swing in with Insectile Aberration, and follow that up with a second copy of Delver of Secrets here on turn 2, and Flooded Strand to boot. So Joe Demestrio with a Scalding Tarn on his second turn.
You saw Chris sandbag that wasteland. We would like Demestrio to search out a volcanic island, or actually just have a volcanic island,
Yeah.
or City of Traders, or something of that nature. You can see Pikula is going to check for Delver of Secrets on his upkeep, see what he finds.
He looks, and he does not want to show us, so I would assume that is not something that's going to flip the Delver of Secrets.
So it is not something that's going to flip the Delver of Secrets, but now you see him stopping and addressing his hand. He's going to sacrifice Flooded Strand before he draws a card, so that he does not have to draw that card he has no interest in, and he's just going to get a really, really nice volcanic island out of his deck.
That's all. Just a
I
black
don't know
border
if it's
volcanic
beta or what edition it is, because I'm not good at that.
It's black bordered.
But it is black bordered, and therefore it is expensive.
He's very good with a Sharpie.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, he used a Sharpie on that.
Chris draws his card for the turn. He's got Wasteland, he's got Force of Will, he's got, I believe, a Ponder I saw in there, maybe a couple of Ponders. Plays that Wasteland, he's got a Daze, actually. That's not Ponder, that's Daze.
Yeah, he's got a Stifle, too, so he's got some permission in his hand. He's got a pretty good clock right now. That's what this matchup's all about. Like, if you're off to a slow start, where you don't play anything, like if you're pondering on turn 1 and not playing a Nimble Mongoose or a Delver of Secrets on turn 1, then you're doing exactly what Sneak and Show wants you to do, which means you're not pressuring them. If you're pressuring them, that means that they don't get time to mess around with Ponders and Brainstorms and other nonsense, and they actually have to go for it in a position where they don't want to go for it. Here's a Brainstorm on Demestro's end step.
Another 4 comes across from Chris, so Joe Demestrio now at 13. Needs to sculpt his hand quick if he wants to get off that Sneak and Show. That Show and Tell. So he used to call him the deck name. He does have a Show and Tell in hand, so he's looking for presumably ways to protect it. I know I saw an Emrakul earlier on. It may be one of the cards he saw with Ponder. So in response to the Brainstorm, Chris Pikula is going to use his Wasteland, targeting the Scalding Tarn to force Joe to shuffle pre-Brainstorm.
I love what Chris is doing here. So Brainstorm's on the stack. Chris is going to activate Wasteland, target the Scalding Tarn. Joe says, all right, well, I'm going to have to sacrifice this in response. And Chris is going to stifle that activation on the Scalding Tarn. So now, if Demestrio wants that land, he has to use a counterspell to fight over it, which is fine because I think that's exactly what Chris would want to have happen.
Right.
That's one less counterspell that Joe will have for the big fight over Show and Tell.
And it looks like Joe's going to bite.
Yep.
He's got a Force of Will. He's going to remove. He may have set it to this. Oh, he's got it right here. What are we going to see?
So he's going to Force Will, and he's going to remove a Spell Pierce.
So that's 2 counter spells Joe is using.
But the other thing here, Joey, that's super important too is that even though he is fighting over this fetch land, okay? Mm-hmm. Because now his fetch land, the Stifle gets countered, the fetch land activation is going to resolve. I would hope that Joe does not forget to search. But the Stifle is going to, the fetch land's going to resolve, and then he gets the land out of his deck, and then the Brainstorm isn't like a Brainstorm Recall.
Right.
It's just a normal Brainstorm. He can actually get himself to be Brainstorm locked.
Exactly.
Now,
that's what I thought Chris was going for first. Like before I realized he was going to use the Stifle.
Now, the one thing here for Demestrio, because I believe that Forcible, it looks like Forcible is still in the stack here, and it has not resolved. So
Yeah.
we've got the stack of Stifle targeting the fetch land, Forcible targeting the Stifle and moving Spell Pierce, and it looks like Chris is considering Force of Willing back here, maybe.
Which I'm not sure if that goes along with the line of play that I thought he was going with. Because I presumably Chris would rather be using Force of Will on a show and tell.
Yeah. I mean, he might even have interest in Force of Willing the Brainstorm now, too.
Yeah, that's possible as well.
Because it doesn't look like, it still looks we're still in this holding pattern where not everything is resolved yet. And I think Chris might have a Daze in his hand. Yeah, he has a Daze,
yes.
too.
So he's going to actually daze the Force of Will.
We'll see what he says. He could be dazing the Brainstorm, too.
He's going to cast Daze. So at this point, either Joe gets a Brainstorm or he gets... he's going to either Brainstorm eventually or he's going to get a land eventually.
Yeah.
At this
the
point,
stack is a little bit muddy right now.
Right.
And once all the dust settles, we'll see exactly what's happened. Daze is targeting Force of Will.
Okay.
So now he's going to draw some
resolves,
cards. Yeah.
And now, so no land fetched for Joe Demestrio. The Brainstorm currently resolving.
And it's crazy because now if you saw the 3 cards that Demestrio drew, none of them were lands. Of course, this is all happening during Pikula's end step.
Yes.
Okay, because he was just going to Brainstorm and then shuffle away and then untap and go about his business.
Right.
But all this happens during Pikula's end step. Demestrio's going to put 2 cards back, and if my eyes are not deceiving, none of those cards are a land, so he is Brainstorm locked right now, and he has no mana, and he's underneath a heck of a lot of pressure, and it's a little worse now.
Yeah, Ponder off the top for Chris Pikula is going to flip that second copy of Delver of Secrets into an Insectile Aberration. He's got an Air Force of 6 power now. That's a 2-turn clock. And and we know Joe's next draw isn't land either.
Yeah. So this game is effectively over
It
at this
is.
point.
And Joe realizes as well he's not going to get anywhere.
I was going to say, I hate to call games over before they are, but the game is effectively over at this point.
We already know what the next draw is. Joe knew what his next draw was, and he was dead next turn. So that actually fighting over that Stifle was clutch there for that game. We saw Joe had at least 1 copy of Show and Tell. I'm pretty sure I saw a second copy, and he definitely had Emrakul in there. So he had Intuition was another one of the cards I saw in there. So Joe had the Show and Tell and the giant dude to put into play. He just was looking for mana.
See, it's really interesting because I brought up at the top of this match about what do you pick your spots against? Do you fight over their cantrips? Do you fight over the show and tell the big turn after they're done cantripping? Well, we didn't see either of those things. We saw a fight over a fetch land in that game where Demestrio tries to get some Brainstorm. Pikula says, all right, Wasteland, and then just the fight began. Oh yeah, you want to Wasteland my fetch land, tough guy? Sack it. How about that? All right, Stifle that. We'll counter it. We'll counter back. It's like, this is a nightmare. What's going on? Yeah. We're fighting over on land? Is that what's actually happening?
What are we fighting over anyway? It's like one of those real life things.
Yeah.
Get that out of here. I don't like him. Why not? I don't remember.
Yeah. What's the stack look like? I don't know. I have no idea. What are you dazing? Who cares?
But really, I thought that was great from Chris, right? Because he was well aware of what was happening there. Okay, my opponent has Island Fetch Land, and he casts Brainstorm.
Yeah.
He's going to look, he's going to put back cards he doesn't want, he's going to shuffle. Why don't I just stop this all right now, or at least prevent some of that from happening, even without using the Stifle. If he wastelands the Scalding Tarn and doesn't Stifle, then that means the shuffle has to happen pre-Brainstorm. So whatever, he could still end up getting Brainstorm locked, right? And that's not even having to use the Stifle. The Stifle just set him back on mana. So it was actually kind of 2 different things. He put his opponent in a situation where he had to shuffle pre-Brainstorm.
Yep.
Right? So whatever he puts back, that's what he's getting, unless he finds another fetch land, right?
Gotcha.
So he's got the Brainstorm block kind of thing in mind, and then the Stifle just became free Stone Rain.
Yeah.
So
might as well take it.
Right. Exactly. And also knowing that the 3 mana point is exactly what Joe is trying to get to.
Yep.
He's got, if he didn't Stifle the fetch land and Joe had a 3rd land, then we could have seen if the Seifel had not resolved, that means Joe has 2 lands.
Sure.
Finds a land in the top, now has his 3rd land, and can cast Show and Tell. And if he has enough counter spells to fight with Chris over that, then Show and Tell resolves, and that is exactly what Chris does not want to happen. So he was, in a way, he was just keeping Joe off his 3rd land by removing the 2nd one.
Yeah, by
so
by having this huge battle.
Right. Even if Joe found another land, we're looking at it and going, oh, he got stuck on 1 land. But even if Joe had found that land, it would only have been the 2nd one. So much less likely to be something that was going to allow him to cast the Show and Tell.
We speak of lands very briefly. Apparently, the volcanic island from Chris Pikula. It is the German revised foreign black border.
Wow.
So that's probably worth not much more than a day's. So must be nice. Must be nice, my friends. We'll go over the sideboards very quickly for you guys as both players are shuffling up. We don't want to take too much time on this because we're going to have some more game action in a moment. On Demestrio's side, he's got 4 Leyline of Sanctity, 3 Pyroclasm, 2 Blood Moon, 2 Echoing Truth, 2 Pyroblast, and 2 Through the Breach. Pyroblast, certainly to join us.
Right.
We've seen a lot. We saw Bruce Mills board in Blood Moon.
Right.
And we could see Demestrio do the same thing here. If you're familiar with the Open Series, the last time we were here in Baltimore, when Chris Pikula made the top 8 with Rogdelver, he lost to a Resolved Blood Moon.
Wow. So, Meddling Mage Bane.
Yes. He did not have much fun being Blood Mooned out of the game. He played a couple more turns, sighed, threw his hands up in the air, and said, "You win, I can't do anything." So we might see a repeat performance of that. Pyroclasm also pretty good in this matchup as well. Gonna buy Demestrio time, can take care of Nimble Mongoose before it hits Threshold, take care of either side of Delver Secrets. Doesn't really fight very well against Tarmogoyf, of course.
Depending on where in the game you are, right?
it's pretty rare
Early
for Pyroclasm to
Tarmogoyf,
catch
right,
one.
right.
And then other than that, I don't see him really sideboarding anything else. On Pikula's side, we're looking at 3 Submerge, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Pyroblast, an Ancient Grudge, 2 Rough Tumble, and then a bunch of singletons and a Young Pyromancer, Sulfur Elemental, Tormod's Crypt, Grafdigger's Cage, and a Zoran Orb. Flusterstorm's the easy one.
Yeah, more counter spells.
Pyroblast is pretty easy as well because Pyroblast just takes care of Show and Tell. And also other counter magic when you do have that now will counter war. And then like the Young Pyromancer on the board, I just want him to board in because I just want to see it next.
Because it's Young Pyromancer.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll see. But either way, both players will be shuffling up for game number 2 here. Chris Pikula on your right. He is up a game. Joe Demestrio on your left, the youngster, 18 years old, 25th in his first Pro Tour, runner-up at Grand Prix Portland. He is getting good quickly. So we'll see what happens.
Very impressive for someone.
Yeah, he's off to a great start for his career.
Maybe the gods are a new Lissad cycle.
I hope not. Demestrio was going to take.
That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, Demestrio was going to take Mulligan. It looks like Pikula is happy enough. Let's have wishful, happy thoughts. Right. No more Lissids.
I mean, maybe they fixed Lissids.
You know what?
It's fine.
Let's do this. I have a fun question for everyone at home.
Okay.
Get your Twitters ready. Hashtag SCGBALT. What is the worst cycle in Magic history?
I like it.
That is a tough question.
It is tough.
It doesn't have to be worse. Like, I guess, like...
Name some really bad cycles.
Yeah, just name some really bad cycles, or, like, just some obscure cycles that just don't make any sense, or... Like, the Lizard cycle, horrible. Yeah. Just really, really not good. There's, like, a lot of land cycles. Like, what's the worst land cycle? You remember those lands from Kamigawa?
Yeah, but some of those, like Aganjo Castle, actually...
Not those lands.
Okay, so...
The ones that, like, you tap them for mana, and they don't untap the next turn. Like, there was like a blue-black one. There was a blue-black, the red-black, the green-white.
Having like literally avoided playing them ever.
Yeah.
I don't remember the
that
specifics.
bad. I don't remember exactly what they did. I don't know if you had to pay life to use them either. There was like the Ganjo Castle one.
Laces
are
good.
The laces are nice. The laces are really, really bad.
Urza block? That's not a cycle.
The Glyph cycle from Legends, that's a good one. Demestrio is going to keep his opening hand. He's got a basic island. He's going to pass the turn back to Mr. Pikula, who's got, again, that turn 1 Delaware Secret's huge, huge to start with.
I love Urza block, by the way.
Yeah, me too. Who doesn't?
Malister Deval, or Malistre. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong.
We'll go over those lists after this game.
Yeah, we'll look at that later.
We'll look at it later. We will bring our attention back to it, trust us. But we want to keep our attention here as Demestrio is going to sacrifice a Scalding Tarn. See if he's going to search for a basic mountain or another island. It's going to be basic mountain.
Basic mountain. Nice. What is that? An unglued mountain. I like those. Not as much as Unhinged, but I still like those.
I think everyone likes Unhinged better. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think most people like Unhinged more. You see him sacrifice right away so he doesn't get stifled, doesn't have to worry about that. I think the last game was a good lesson
yes.
of that.
Don't sit here with a fetch land when my opponent has mana open. So Delver Secrets refuses to flip this turn, but it does get in for 1, knocking Joe Demestrio to 18. Chris Pikula adds another fetch land to the board, and Joe plays an island, passes back. Chris looks at the top.
We're in this situation again where
maybe crack that polluted delta.
Yeah, he might crack that polluted delta because he doesn't want to draw that card. Like it also could be like in this situation for Pikula, it could be an instant that he does want to reveal and then not want to draw. No, that's the other thing. Like this is really interesting right now.
So he's thinking about what he wants to do. I mean, I think if it's something that flips Delver, you reveal it. But then again, Chris Pikula, an accomplished Rug Delver player.
Got 2 top 8s already. I think he's lost playing for top 8 and one of them too.
Yeah. He's got a lot of experience with this deck. And I imagine he must really like this deck, bringing it to multiple Legacy Opens consecutively and doing well with it.
The big thing for him this game is he needs that 1 damage to start being 3 damage.
Right.
Because, I mean, obviously 3 is much more than 1. And that's easy to explain.
2 more than 1.
Yeah, it is 2 more than 1.
200%.
But it puts a lot of pressure on Demestrio to not just sit here and mess around with ponders and cantrips and get set up to win the big turn.
So whatever it was, it did not flip Delver. Chris finds a volcanic island and plays a Scalding Tarn for his turn. Joe plays a fetch land for his turn, passes back. Chris finds Brainstorm on the top to flip that Delver now, and 200% more. Insectile Aberration is now a 3-2, or is now, I guess, technically an Insectile Aberration. Delver is an Insectile Aberration. Brainstorm mid-resolution here for Chris Pikula. Looking at putting back a Tropical Island and a Volcanic Island. He does have a fetch land in hand. I imagine we're going to see either that Scalding Tarn cracked here or the Flooded Strand that he has in hand. It's going to be cracked before his next draw step, or before the next time he has an opportunity to draw. Right there it is, right there. It's going to crack that Scalding Tarn. Wants a fresh top of the library.
He wants to make it a Brainsestor recall.
Yeah.
That's what he wants to do.
Doesn't really need any more lands. The thing, he's got 3 now. He's searching for the 3rd and has the 4th in hand. The top 2 cards of his library were lands, so aside from some wastelands, he's pretty set on mana. Wastelands would be nice just to use as Stone Rain.
Of course.
Stone Rain would be nice as a wasteland that you pay 3. I don't know. Anyway.
So here's a Probe. Now we're going to get some information. Probe is a card that's been making its way into Rug Delver quite a bit lately. They're always going to have their cantrips in Brainstorm and Ponder, but Probe is this kind of nice cantrip that gives you a lot of information. You see Demestrio's hand right now of double Gristlebrand, Sneak Attack, Misdirection, and City of Traders.
Wow.
It's not a great hand, but at the same time,
because
he has so much mana right now, he's got Island Mountain and a Scalding Tarn, and then City of Traders is going to give him 6 mana, so he can force through Daze or Spell Pierce and stuff like that, but he's very soft to forcible, which Chris now knows. However, if Demestrio draws a blue card, then he can win the forcible battle.
Yeah.
He can misdirect the forcible to misdirection. So, not the safest spot right now if you're Pikula. Depending on what his hand is, you see a forcible there and a blue card. He's going to draw a card off the Probe too, and he draws a Young Pyromancer.
Interesting, and that's I was just about to say. I think maybe one of the reasons you're seeing more probes is because of Young Pyromancer working pretty well with it. I'm not to say that one brought the other, but they work pretty well together.
Pikula's going to play a Tropical Island. See if he's going to want to establish Young Pyromancer right now. Demestrio looks like he's asking if Pikula's played land yet this turn.
He has not. He fetched the Tropical Island and then is now playing a second Tropical Island.
I was going to play Nimble Mongoose.
And Nimble Mongoose is the play.
So he's tapping out. Okay.
And young Pyromancer there.
And this is just saying, this is like a loud declaration that I have free counter match in my hand, so I can afford to tap out to do this. Demestrio's going to draw a blue card, and it's a Brainstorm.
Going to set the world on fire.
He's going to try. Gristlebrand's the real problem here. You can't let Sneak Attack resolve.
Just set Gristlebrand on fire. So
Yeah, best of luck.
So Joe Demestrio with 4 lands currently. We know he has a City of Traders in hand, so he has access to 6 mana, up to 6 mana this turn that we know of. May have drawn Lotus Petal, but haven't seen that. That would give him access to 7 mana this turn. He's going to fetch up a Volcanic Island. Chris being tapped out, he is not afraid of Stifle in this particular situation. So there you see the City of Traders, and he looks to be casting a Sneak Attack here.
I'm certainly going to go for it because he has Misdirection. He has Misdirection defense with the Brainstorm that he drew for the turn.
Is that what he drew?
Yeah.
You saw the Brainstorm? Oh, I saw it. Okay. And Sneak Attack is the play.
There's your Force of Will.
Chris
There's
is
your
gonna go ahead and
Pyromancer
force.
trigger. Here's your Misdirection. There's your blue card.
Elemental comes into play there from the young Pyromancer. Misdirection, removing a blue card, is going to change the target of that Force of Will, targeting Misdirection. I like how Joe indicated very clearly what he was doing there. And Sneak Attack resolves Misdirection, wins the counter war, and Sneak Attack puts Gristlebrand into play.
Yeah, the thing you see here is that Misdirection is, what Misdirection does with Force of Will is Misdirection. So you cast your spell, in this case a Sneak Attack, Force of Will targeting Sneak Attack, you cast Misdirection, you change the target of Force of Will to the actual Misdirection that is being cast. So it acts as another Force of Will, basically.
Right, so what happens would be like Misdirection resolves and then Force of Will fizzles for no legal target.
Correct. And it ends up just countering Misdirection, which is fine, because then you can't touch my Sneak Attack. This is perfect. Now Gristlebrand's in. Demestrio's going to draw a bunch of cards.
He goes to 6 here.
Looks like he's trying to. It looked like he's trying to spike a Lotus Petal and then do an Emrakul, which does not look like he was able to do. So he's going to come across here with Gristlebrand and push himself back up to 13. Emrakul's going to go down to 8.
Just 7 power worth of creatures right now on Chris's side of the board. It does not have Threshold yet, so that Mongoose is just a 1/1.
And he's discarded. So that's it for Demestrio. Pikula draws
Another land.
Yeah.
So flooded for a deck like Rug Delver. He's got 4 lands in play. 3 in hand or 2? Is that another Mongoose? I think is his 1 spell.
Yeah, he's got 1 Mongoose and 2 lands in his hand, and then he's got what he has on the table, so he doesn't really have very much.
Just gonna take a look at his graveyard. Check to see how far away he is from Threshold. He's, I believe, 3 cards out from Threshold. Could be 2. But yeah, still just 7 power worth of guys on board, so he can knock Joe to 6, which makes subsequent Gristlebrand's slightly less good because he has to attack before drawing a bunch of cards.
And then if he draws the cards, then he ends up just going back to the life total he was at before.
Right,
and
which
then
would have been
dying.
6, yeah. So Chris trying to do as much damage here as possible. He's going to cast the Nimble Mongoose, plays another fetch land. He doesn't seem to have another way to get Threshold. I mean, he can get 1 more land in the graveyard, but that's not enough. So Joe's going to take 7 here from the Young Pyromancer, Insectile Aberration, Nimble Mongoose, and Elemental Token. So Joe at 6.
It's a good thing that Pikula is at 8 and not 7, obviously, because if he were, he'd be dead. Let's see if this is Emrakul or not. All right, this is Crystal Brand.
Yeah, we saw there were double Crystal Brands in play. And,
Never mind.
well, I guess.
Never mind.
I guess we're going to game 3.
I got a feeling we are. When they go pick up that other permanent, that's the problem one. Demestrio, Annihilator Trigger, going to pack it up. So Demestrio is going to win game number 2 over Mr. Meddling Mage himself, Chris Pikula. We'll be moving on to a third one.
On the back of Sneak Attack. And Joe Demestrio taking a quick break from the table.
Yep. Sounds like a good time to bring it back to us while we wait for these two players for game number 3. Demestrio is going to take a quick restroom break, and that means that we are going to talk about cycles of bad cards, or just cycles of cards in general. Cedric Phillips, Joey Pasco, back in the Move Star City Games Open Series in Baltimore. We're midway through round number 4. Joe Demestrio, Chris Pikula. We're moving on to a third and final game to see which one of these players is going to be 4-0. Sneak and Show versus Rug Delver. Yes. But we asked you a question. This is convenient how this worked out.
Yeah, it's
we asked you guys a quick question about what are some of the worst cycles in Magic. I know you've got quite a few in front of you.
Yeah, I like the Laces one is good. Several people saying Clue Stones. I don't think those are that bad.
I don't think that those are that bad. I think those have a bad rap. I think that a lot of people were hoping that those would be as good as Signets in that limited format, and they aren't. So people are just bitter. I don't think they're that bad.
But the Homelands Legends and Land cycle. I don't know. Autumn Willow was a Homelands Legend. She's pretty good.
She was good for her time.
Well, I mean, but so I wouldn't call that bad.
That matters.
Like now she's outclassed.
Yeah,
but that
sure.
doesn't mean she's bad. I mean, Sarah Angel, what are you going to say? Bad? She's outclassed.
Okay. All right.
Not
I'm
bad.
with you.
I mean, we can make comparisons if that's to now. I don't think that's fair. So, I mean, Autumn Willow, I thought Baron Senjir was awesome when...
Baron Senjir was awesome.
Like, right? Like, you played, like, the Vampire deck, and
yeah.
it's like, that's so much fun. Like,
yeah, Baron Senjir was awesome when I was young.
Cycling lands from Onslaught, I disagree with that. For one thing, they're cycling lands. Like, they have cycling. That means if you don't have the mana, you draw a
glare.
Yeah.
Who said that?
This is Ryan M. at R Sweezy on Twitter. Sorry,
man.
Gotta call
Forgotten
you out
Cave,
on that
Tranquil Thicket. Those cards were good, man. Those cards were good.
Circle of Protection cycle. Those are...
So like that cycle's like kind of lame.
Like it's a hoser cycle. Right?
Yeah, it's like it's kind of lame, but like I'm also okay with that. Like that's when like Magic Design was kind of like in its infancy, so like that. So I'm actually okay with that one.
Leech cycle from Invasion.
So we're looking at Jade Leech. Jade Leech is the one I always remember. I think there's like Alabaster Leech. Wow, if I can remember all these. Is there Ruby Leech?
I don't remember because I was taking a break during Invasion.
Okay.
So
I think I can remember these. Ruby Leech, I think it's Alabaster Leech, Jade Leech, Black. What would Black be? Black and Blue. I think Blue is Sapphire Leech, but I'm not sure.
Right.
And then Black.
Onyx?
It's not Jet Leech.
Jet Leech, yeah.
It's definitely not Jet Leech. I don't know. Someone knows at home. I don't know.
So, oops, I missed it. All right, Malister DeVal, who mentioned, I thought you said worst block, says, worst cycle would probably be Plains Island, Swamp Mountain, Forest.
Hey.
I mean, that's how we play this game.
We couldn't do it without those, okay?
Right. Those are not bad.
Someone actually gave us a good answer here. The mana batteries.
Oh, yeah, the mana batteries.
Those are not good. So that answer is pretty accurate.
Banding lands from Legends. I don't
know those. But anything that involves banding is horrible. Ooh, Balm of Rest. What is that? Heliopile?
Oh, yeah, Ellipoli.
The wind cycle.
People played that card. Yeah, like what is it? Like Plague Wind. This was Plague. I can't remember.
Okay, so like there was Plague Wind. There was a wind that dealt like 10.
That's why I can't remember the red one.
I think it was like Searing Wind.
Oh, that sounds right.
Searing Wind. God, these games are fun. There was a White Wind that gained a bunch of life. I don't know what the Blue Wind did. It can't be good though. I don't remember because they probably didn't draw cards. And then there was the Wind Cycle. I think the Wind Cycle was from Prophecy, maybe.
I think Prophecy. That sounds right.
Yeah, Prophecy.
It was Onslaught block.
Because I'm sorry,
not Onslaught block. Masked block.
Yeah, it was. I think the Wind Cycle was Prophecy. Not good.
So Ryan M, who mentioned the cycling lands, was trying to be funny. I mean, punny.
Punny.
Right, cycle, because we're asking for the worst.
See,
cycle.
you're right. We missed
cycling
it.
lands. We did miss it. He did have to
Yep.
to let us know. That's fair point.
All right. Apparently, Joe's back, so we can't have any more fun now.
Yeah,
so.
we'll get this in a bit.
We'll come back and visit this in a little bit here. Get back to the Demestrio versus Pikula. Game number 3 between Sneak and Show and Rug Delver. Excuse me.
There they are. So, going to game 3 here in round 4. SCG Baltimore. We were here back in June. Bradley Nelson won in Standard that event with Junk Aristocrats. And Todd Anderson won in Legacy at that event with Esper Deathblade, I believe. Todd Anderson is here today and going to try to run it back. I have not heard how he's doing at this point. I see him playing right now.
He's in the battle zone?
Yeah, right, straight ahead, in fact.
Okay.
Not piloting Esper Deathblade.
Do you know what he's playing today?
I do know what he's playing.
Care to share?
Should I tell you? Should I tell you guys?
I haven't seen it
He's
yet.
playing Reanimator.
Oh, all right.
So,
Okay.
interesting choice.
I don't think it's a bad one.
No, not at all.
Reanimator's
It's
a good deck, so I don't think like Reanimator's ever a bad choice.
I agree. It's something. It's like Goblins. It's one of those decks that like doesn't necessarily dominate. And it's not like super popular where you're like, oh, every round. Rug Delver to me is a deck where it feels like you see it multiple times in a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Goblins and Reanimator typically aren't those kind of decks. You might see them once in a tournament, and then maybe in the top 8 or something like that. So it's a Legacy staple, but not necessarily always at the top, but never a bad choice. I think it's there with like Elves and Lands and Belcher. Very respectable Legacy choices.
I'm being informed on Twitter that the Black Leech is the Androdite Leech.
Well, that's one I wouldn't have thought of ever.
No. I did not play very much back then. I was still a youngster.
I played during Masks block, took a short break during basically Invasion block, and then came back during Odyssey block.
Oh yeah, I remember this card now because the artwork is just.
Oh, I remember the artwork as well. Yeah.
Pikula. Gonna start off with. I think that's not going to be a Delver. That's not a turn 1 Delver in Nimble Mongoose. This is not where he wants to be, my friends. Because he's on the play, of course, because the Demestrio is game number 2.
This is actually his second turn, I believe. Considering Joe Demestrio has already played a Scalding Tarn. Not the best start from a Rug Delver deck.
But there is a young Pyromancer there, and I like the play of Probe is really good, man. Probe is really good. Get some info.
Yeah, especially in Legacy when things can just really get out of hand quickly depending on what your opponent has. So if you have that information, Ponder, Gristlebrand, Brainstorm, Emrakul, Brainstorm, Sneak Attack, Scalding Tarn. So there you see the Gitaxian Probe. 1 mana, look at target player's hands, draw a card. You can pay that particular 1 for Phyrexian mana with either a blue mana or 2 life.
See, the big thing here, you see Demestrio, since he was on the draw, he played a Scalding Tarn on turn 1 and just passed. Obviously, he'd prefer to be able to cast Ponder, but he's fearing Stifle right now.
Right.
So he doesn't do anything, he just passes, which is ideal for Chris, and he doesn't do anything on turn 1. So now Chris is going to see, he's going to probe, and now he can keep playing as though he has Stifle, or if he probes into Stifle, he can keep playing in this fashion, or he can just play a fetch land and catch on Pyromancer and get on the board.
So Flooded Strand for Chris searches up a Tropical Island.
Either way, Chris knows he's not in danger of being shown until next turn.
And turn 2, Nimble Mongoose is the play for Chris Pikula. 1 mana up, representing a Stifle. Actually does have a Stifle.
Yep. Yeah, has the option of tapping out there for Young Pyromancer. Elects not to, which I like because next turn he can just play Wasteland and then play Young Pyromancer and still be representing the Stifle. And if it is time to Stifle, then he gets a 1/1 out of the deal.
So there you see, crack Scalding
nope.
Tarn. Chris says, no, I'm going to stifle that. You're going to have to make do with that other Scalding Tarn. Oh, a Lotus Petal off the top for Joe Demestrio.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how much that matters. Like, it's there.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, it's a one shot of mana. Now he's using it to cast a Brainstorm.
Right, because he's trying to Brainstorm and then follow it up with that other fetch land.
But again, if you're Pikula and that's what your opponent's doing, is using using that not to power out a show and tell, not to
Power out a sneak attack.
Yeah, it's not to power a sneak attack, or use it to pay for like a Spell Piercer or a Daze. You're thrilled with that.
So the top 3 cards I think were Island, Lotus Petal, Show and Tell. So those are now in Joe's hand, and he can put a couple back and shuffle them away with the Scalding Tarn if that's what he wants to do here. Looks like one of the cards he's about to put back may be that Lotus Petal, but maybe not. We're not going to get a great look at what he's putting back here, but no, he kept the Lotus Petal. I see it there still in his hand.
I think he's going to keep it, and I think he's going to play it this turn.
Yeah.
I think he's going to play it so it doesn't have to worry about days or any other nonsense. Like, he just wants to get the Lotus Petal into play. He'll probably play his fetch land first, and then, you know, crack it right away, and then play the Lotus Petal. Cracking it right away, of course, so that it does not get into Stifle territory.
Exactly. Just a Joe Demestrio mid-brainstorm here. Looks like he's got 2 candidates for going on top. So you think the turn is Lotus Petal, Scalding Tarn, crack the Scalding Tarn immediately.
That's
We'll
what I
see if that's
believe
he does. He
he'll
puts
do.
2 back, he plays the Scalding Tarn. And he doesn't have to play the Lotus Petal yet, but he's going to crack the Scalding Tarn, get a fresh few cards on top of his library. Finds a basic island.
See if he wants to cast his Petal or not. Because, like, you can use the Petal as a surprise source of mana.
And he does play the Petal.
See if he wants to maybe Ponder, too. Yep.
I think
So he's manipulating a lot here.
Yeah, especially while his opponent's tapped out.
Yeah, which is super, super important.
So Ponder shows him City of Brass, City of Brass, Gristlebrand. Didn't catch the 3rd card, but it may have been Emrakul. He has an Emrakul in hand already.
So you see him taking a look there, how he wants to go about pondering. He's gonna keep him. Draws Force of Will.
So his hand looks to be Force of Will, Show and Tell, Island, Sneak Attack, Emrakul.
He's got a pretty good hand, actually.
Yeah.
There's a City of Traders on top, too, so Chris is going to need something pretty good here. He's going to start by attacking with Nimble Mongoose.
Which is, I believe, just a 1/1 here.
Yeah.
And Young Pyromancer comes down for Chris. He still keeps 1 mana up, representing Stifle, and again, he has a Stifle.
City of Traders, the draw from the Ponder that he put back here, so he's going to probably play the 2 mana land. I think he might just move in here. Wouldn't be surprised if he does.
So So he's just actually going to go ahead and straight
Yeah, he's just going to move in.
Show and Tell. I wondered if he would try to bait out a Stifle by cracking the Lotus Petal, which Chris may stifle, and then casting Show and Tell.
You can't stifle the Lotus Petal because it's a mana
Oh, it's a mana ability.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Good call. So you see a Spell Pierce, though, which we did not know was in Chris's hand. And that deals with the Show and Tell and also brings an Elemental to the party, courtesy of Young Pyromancer. Chris is going to wasteland that City of Traders. And now he's going to get in with all 3 of his guys. So it looks like it's just 4. Young Pyromancer, Elemental, and a 1/1 Nimble Mongoose.
And the top card is he was another Mongoose. Top card for Joe is Gristlebrand, which is just true. So he does have an island to play for the turn, but he's underneath a lot of pressure right now, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get himself out of this situation as Pikula does draw a Flusterstorm. So now Pikula is certainly in the driver's seat because now he has a blue card. He has a Flusterstorm and he has a Force of Will in his hand right now. I'm not sure if he's holding another blue card, but if he has double counter magic right now, it's basically over. And Joe has to draw a mana source, which he did just do right now, though, in the form of Simeon's Spirit Guide.
So Joe Demestrio's turn here. Looks like he has passed the turn. Yeah. And off the top is a Ponder for Chris. Everybody in.
2, 3, 4,
5.
5.
Yeah, 5 this time. Chris unable to reach Threshold.
Demestrio draws a forceful. He
Just
doesn't
yet.
have enough mana to go off. He's looking at his hand. Yeah, it is a Simian Spirit Guide that he did draw, but
That
he
just
can,
puts a sneak attack into play, but he can't activate.
yeah, he can't activate it, so he can get himself up to 4 mana, and that's not going to be enough because he can't activate it and hit him with Gristlebrand. He's going to extend the hand, and Chris Pikula is going to show his hand to Force of Will, Stifle, Flush and Storm, and Ponder, and win the match to move on to 4-0.
Yeah,
For
still
the
had all
Meddling
these
Mage.
counter spells.
Yes, sir. So he's moving on to 4-0 with Rug Delver.
Yeah.
Demestrio takes his first loss of the weekend with Sneak and Show.